today we thought we'd address an issue that's important to a lot of RVers, and that is RVing with pets, or more specifically in our case, RVing with dogs.
Yes.
We've been RVing with our dogs for over 20 years, that's one of the reasons we always loved camping so much when we had a tow-behind trailer.
Before we started full-timing, regular weekend and vacation camping, we always took the dogs with us.
Yep, that was part of the bonus of camping, was that we could take the dogs with us. So we've got a lot of experience RVing with our dogs full-time for the past few months, so we wanted to share maybe some tips that'll help you or answer some questions you have about RVing with dogs.
All right, the first thing you need to make sure you do is that your dogs are comfortable in your vehicle. Just like you do when you get a puppy or a new dog, you get them comfortable in your car. You take them for short rides or whatever, see how they do, take longer rides just to get them accustomed to it. So you want to do the same thing with your RV and make sure they're okay with that as well, being in there for long stretches. If it's a motorhome, they're going to be traveling in it. If it's a travel trailer, they're not. But just make sure they're okay. Sleep in it a few nights, or maybe sleep in one. If you haven't bought one yet, maybe rent one or borrow somebody else's. Make sure your pet or your dog is going to be okay with it. You don't want to get in a situation where you go all in and find out your dog just can't be in the travel trailer.
Because I've heard stories from people of their dogs that were very scared to go in the RV for the first time, and it took them a while of just going in there a little bit each day, sitting with them, giving them some treats, making it a happy place. Along the lines of getting them used to the RV is give them their own space in the RV. Like in your house, they may have a certain corner that they lay in with their doggy bed or something like that. So if you have a doggy bed they're used to, bring it along. We didn't have doggy beds because our dogs always lay on the beds, which they still do in the RV, and we're okay with that. But we also did buy them a doggy bed, and they have their certain space.
And sometimes you might just want to have them go to a certain place, and they're not, you can't say, okay, go over there. But if you put their dog bed over there that they're familiar with and know that's where they lay, they'll go in their little corner or whatever it is.
Or a doggy crate,
some dogs need to be crated, and it's just, especially when you're away.
Well, and they
get stressed and need to be in a crate to feel a little bit more secured.
We don't have room in our RV to fit a crate. Our dogs have not been crated since they were puppies. So we don't have to fit that in, but I've seen people who actually make space under a bed or in a closet or whatever just to have the doggy crate so that the dog has their own place.
And that's something that's much easier for if you have small dogs, it's much easier to crate them because you don't need as big of a space for them. But
give them their space, make them comfortable. If they're younger dogs, like ours are just 4 years old each, we have a box of toys. It's much smaller than the elaborate toy box full of stuff at home.
But it needs to be downsized.
They had to
go back and forth, and I still think it needs a little more downsizing. But
no, they have a little box. They downsize their toys. So you have your RV, you have your dogs. You've gotten your dogs used to the RV. You have a special place for them, whether it's every bed or soft piece of furniture in the RV like ours, or a special doggy crate or corner for them. And then next on that would be discover your dog's kind of attitude in the RV and what they're going to be like. It's very different than being in a house.
When you're in a house, the dogs there's certain number of neighbors right around you. The same dogs are around if there are other dogs or cats or whatever. When you're RVing, you go to a new place every time, and there's strangers just outside their door. Different dogs, different smells, animals, wild animals. So you just have to get them, when you're in there with them and they smell these other things or hear other dogs barking.
Or see them walk
them out the windows. You just have to, keep them calm. And it's just like training again when they were puppies, that it's okay. They don't need to protect you from all the strangers.
It's everybody's campground. And, when you're in a house, generally, someone's not going to walk past your house from like 10 foot away unless they're coming to visit. Well, when you're staying at a campsite, there are people and dogs walking around all the time. You may have a camper just, 15, 20 foot away, and they may have dogs. So they're going to have to get used to that. There's different ways to kind of combat that. Like Brian said, you're just going to have to sit with them and train them like you do for anything else with a puppy. But one of the things that we do, because they do generally still get upset after all this time if, hey, get down. They will still get upset if a dog walks too close or people are right there, and especially Pepper, she will watch out the window and she will guard us from, you guard us.
Yep, she gets a little territorial.
She will get territorial. She'll they're on my property. When we're in there, they're okay. We can calm them down. If we're going away, which we do sometimes go away, and leave them in there, we will pull down the blinds. I actually will put some cushions up against the one window, have Pepper in the back, so she has a smaller space and less windows to look out, and Carmel will be in the front of the RV. We separate by a door that we have into the back, and we'll turn on some music or some fans and have some music. That way they're not laying there listening for every little
sound,
tiny
just
sound.
The loud ones.
And so with the blinds closed, with some music playing, you could leave a TV playing or something like that. That seems to work really well. And to that question, we do leave them for, not often, because we're pretty much around. We don't go too many places, and they come with us a lot of places. Again, that's why we like, RVing. But there are times that we may leave them for 5, 6, 7 hours straight in the RV.
Yeah, and that leads to the next topic, which is safety. And one of the big things with safety for pets in the RV is if you do leave them, you got to be careful of the temperatures, the outside temperature. Too cold is not too bad, because dogs can curl up and they can, if the heat's not on when you're away and it's cold, they'll curl up in a little ball. And
they have enough blankets and pillows.
And they'll be fine. But the other extreme, when it's too hot, you have to really be careful. Yeah, you can leave the AC running while you're gone, but what if the shore power or the campground power cuts out, circuit breaker trips, AC unit breaks down, and then you don't have that cooling, and it doesn't take long in these RVs and trailers and stuff. The temperature will spike in no time. And
it was a huge concern of ours. We spent several weeks out in Southern California in the hottest July on record, and it was up in the triple digits for, I think, a couple weeks straight during the day, up to 115, 116 degrees some of those days. And we were going out, even if you went out for an hour, we were paranoid. What if the AC breaks or something like that? So that's when we got a temperature monitor in the RV.
And it's actually this is the one we got. It's called Temp Stick. It works well. There's a bunch of other ones out on the market too. We'll put the link for this one if you want to check it out. Basically, just a little temperature sensor with a Wi-Fi signal on it, and it'll connect to your phone, and you can set ranges every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, or whatever interval you pick, or every hour. It'll read a temperature and send it up to the cloud, and then you can pull it down on your phone wherever you are, and know the temperature, and just keep monitoring it. And it has humidity as well. So then basically you just have an app on your phone, and you keep checking every 15 minutes or whatever you're comfortable with. You make sure you're not too far away. If you're only an hour away or something, that's reasonable to get back. If you see a temperature spike, you can get back in time before anything bad's going to happen.
Yeah, and we're usually never more than an hour away, so that has worked out really well for us, and it gives us peace of mind, because we used to really worry about that. So that's one of my favorite things that we've gotten since we started, is just to protect our babies.
Yeah, and I think it's relatively inexpensive. I think it was $149 or something like that. There's different ones, but this one was $149.
And for the safety of your pets, I think, peace of mind, it's so worth it. But also along the lines of safety, you are going to unique places all the time. Like Brian said, there's different animals and different smells and things like that. So know what animals are in the area. There could be alligators, there can be rattlesnakes, there can be ticks. There's mountain lions in places, and bears, and so it's best to just know of the hazards.
Yeah, and you're going to be looking out for most of that for yourself anyway. But for dogs, it's just a little bit more. You just want to make sure you have them kept on a leash close to you. And then check for ticks when you get back from walks in the woods. Make sure they're not getting ticks. If you agree with it, do the front line. Even with it, you still have to check, because they'll carry the ticks into the RV with them. They won't dig in because they have the front line.
And then they go on us.
But then they just go on you or in the RV. So
another thing with the safety would be also, when you pull in, it's always good to know where your local hospitals are and your doctor's offices for your own self, but also for your pets. So go online or check the local books and find where the local vet is, where a 24-hour vet is.
Yeah, usually there's an emergency pet place somewhere
emergency
around.
vet. Just find the closest one, because you never know what's going to happen. Again, if you're like us, you're out hiking in the wild a lot, they can get bit by a snake or something like that. So you want to know where that is, and so make sure you have that vet number written on your whiteboard, or keep it on your fridge or something. Be up to date on all the shots. I think that's a given. That you should have your pets up to date on their shots. Keep them safe. You don't want them picking up anything or getting anything while they're out and about. You hate shots, don't you? They're
that's
terrible.
No fun.
No, Carmel doesn't even want to talk about shots. Although the plus side to shots for Carmel is that if you're feeding her something, like, she doesn't really even notice the shots, do you? Because she's so such a food-focused dog. Keep your vaccination records with you.
Some kennels, if you get yourself in a situation where you need to put the dogs in a kennel, they want to see those records and make sure that the dogs have all.
And you could always call and have them faxed or something, but it's nice to have them on hand with you. And especially if you got in an emergency and you had to go to a 24-hour emergency thing, and it's like 1 a.m. somewhere, they can't get it from your vet, so you have it with you. And it's also good to have your proof of ownership, your dog license. If it's something you believe in, you can have them microchipped, because you're going to be traveling all over the country, and if you fear them getting loose, running out the door sometime, you might want to have them microchipped if it's something you believe in. Again, that's up to you, but that's another way to kind of keep them safe and keep them with you. When you're RVing, you want to make sure that your pets get plenty of exercise, because of course, just hanging out in our case, a 33-foot RV all day, they need to get their exercise, run around. So walking is always an easy way to get them some exercise. We generally walk our dogs 4 or 5 miles a day. It gets us good exercise too. But another thing, if it's someplace, sometimes there's not many places to walk. So usually you can go out driving and find somewhere. You can Google and look online for some doggy parks in the area. Some campgrounds even have dog parks, which is really, really nice. And you can just, walk the dog over, let him run and play a little bit. So one of our tricks for getting the dog some extra exercise, because if you've seen any of our videos, you know that our Pepper has tons and tons of energy. So one of our tricks is we do have a 50-foot leash. It's called a training lead, and we'll put a link down below so that you can go check those out. But we got a nice bright orange one, only because I used to have a black one and I lost it. So bright orange I haven't lost. So this is great. Most places do have that. Your dog should be on a leash, of course, and we'll keep our dogs on a leash for safety. There's a few times at doggy beaches or something where we will take them off leash. Those are some great places, but most places they do have to be on a leash. So we have the 50-foot lead then, and this way we can play ball, right, Carmel? And since it's a 50-foot leash, they can get plenty of running in. So 50-foot one way and the other, and it's a great way for us to get Pepper tired out. If you are in an area, now not all places you go are going to have that much space, but it works like somewhere like here, we're kind of out in the woods. A real quick thing is just general doggy etiquette.
Yeah, and this is sort of
holds true anywhere.
Yeah, you should do it around your home, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
But when you're in close quarters with other people, like you are in campgrounds, you just want to be considerate of the other people. Not everyone likes dogs.
Yeah, some are scared of dogs, so
kids are scared of dogs.
Be aware of that, and keep them on a leash. Don't let them run loose around the campsites. I mean, most places do have leash laws, but some people will, if their dog's well behaved, they'll let them loose. But we've had plenty of times that dogs will come running up to us from a distance, and Pepper's not always the best with other dogs. Since she was a stray, she has some issues. So I just always am on the lookout, and I'll quickly pick her up and grab her so that, she can't come to any harm or harm any other dog.
Yep. If your dog's barking, just put him inside.
And also always clean up after them. A lot of campgrounds and state parks will have doggy bags that you can, post it all around that you can get. But always have some doggy bags with you and clean up after your pet. As many dogs as you find at campgrounds and places, if no one cleaned up after their dogs, it wouldn't be nice. No, it would not be nice at all. So, general doggy etiquette, just keep that in mind when you're out RVing. Yeah, sometimes there'll be rules that you need to find out ahead of time. Like, don't just go book yourself into a campground and then you get there and find out they don't allow dogs.
Yeah, that would be bad.
That's bad. I know, like,
hide them in the RV then.
Yeah. Like Florida state parks, for instance, they do not let dogs on beaches. They'll let them most other places, but they're not allowed on beaches. And then we've been to some state parks where dogs are allowed, but they're not allowed on certain trails. There might be certain seasons that dogs are allowed in certain areas or on beaches. Other areas there might be beach permits that you have to get in order to let your dog on the beach. So you may have to go get a permit, pay a couple bucks so that you can get your dog on the beach, or they're not allowed on it all, or they're only allowed on the beach certain times of the day.
Yeah.
So
and you just have to research ahead of time and make sure you don't get yourself in a jam.
Yeah.
Thinking you can do something that you can't.
Yeah, but most importantly, just make sure that the campground does allow pets. And I was just reading something recently in an article that there is a private campground and they allow pets normally, but certain weekends of the year they have concerts, you know, like big weekend long festivals. And on those weekends they do not allow pets. So that's another thing to check into. Just make sure that you don't, like you said, get yourself in a bind where you show up someplace and then find out that they don't allow pets at the campground.
All right, and last but not least, this one's kind of special or specific to us. We discovered that we have ramps, of course, for me to get into the motorhome, but it works great for the dogs too, because them jumping up the steps is sometimes a little sketchy if it's wet or things like that. Or if you have old dogs, this is a great solution that you can use to just to make it easier for them.
Yeah. I get more questions on the ramps that people will ask me, oh, do you have older dogs? Is that what that's for? And they'll ask where to get the ramps. So you can go online, you can find folding ramps and things like that for your older dogs to get your pets in and out more easily, so it's not a big jump. Other people will just lift them in and out, but the ramps are pretty convenient, and that's a great tip if you have older dogs. Ours are still very young and energetic right now, so we don't need that, but folding ramps might be something you want to look into if you have, an older pet that's getting in and out of the RV a lot with you.
And these ramps are 10 feet long because I need it to be not as steep, but they make shorter, smaller, and lighter ones. And you would probably not deal with the platform like I have, but just to go directly to the doorway with maybe only like a 6-foot one and only single width. They make special dog ones that are single width. You go with a lot lighter one. It doesn't really take up all that much space either. So it's a good solution for older dogs, and I think even just any dogs. It's better than having to make that jump all the time.
And older people.
Yeah, older people too, or people with disabilities like myself. Yeah, it's definitely appreciated.
All right, so girls.
Okay. So.
Yeah, we're trying.
Yeah.
We're trying. All right. So that was just a quick overview of some things that we've learned RVing with our dogs. We would love to hear if you have any.
They love when we sit at their level.
Yeah, they're like,
they're just yay. They jump up with us on the bed and the sofa.
Okay,
all the time.
okay. That's just a few quick tips that we've learned traveling full-time with our dogs. If you've got some tips of traveling with your pets, we would love to see that in the comments down below. If you have any questions for us, something we didn't cover, you want to know a little bit more about, we'd be glad to answer your questions. All right, Carmel, Pepper, you want to say bye? Since you're right in the
Pepper,
picture.
say bye. Pepper, here.
Pepper, where's that thing?
Here.
Let's see.
Look. Nope, she's looking the other way.
All right.
Squirrel. Ah.
Nice, lift it up. Up, going. Aw, you're tired.